I do short interviews with random people.
I'll do it.
You want to do it?
Sure.
Sweet. I time it for 10 minutes to kind of respect people's time.
Okay, that's fine.
Cool. Are you cool if I record it?
Sure.
Okay. All right, my name is Eddie.
Hi, Eddie.
What's your name?
Linda.
Linda. Okay. All right, so what I do, Linda?
DA. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, my marker's not working. I can make that out. Okay. So what I do is something called Street Epistemology. And basically you get to pick a belief, whatever it is. It could be anything. And then I just ask questions to kind of uncover how you got there, the method you use to be confident in that belief, and then I do like a couple of thought experiments to begin with.
Okay.
Cool?
Sure.
All right. So, first thought experiment involves Tic Tacs.
Okay.
So, would you agree that the amount of Tic Tacs in this container is either even or odd, and it cannot be both?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
I agree.
So let's say you guessed even, and I guessed odd.
Okay.
Popped it open, poured it out. We counted them all up.
Right.
And it happened to be 14. Would you agree that you were correct and I was mistaken?
Right.
Got it. Okay. All right, so that's the first thought experiment. Second one, if someone were to walk up to you, so let's say you were walking down, you kept on going, someone walked up to you, got chatting with them,
right,
and they said, hey, I just bought a brand new Ferrari. From a scale from like 0 to 100%, and would you believe them, or how confident would you be that they're
if it was here in the parking lot, if it was a student,
right,
I would be, you said 0 to what
100.
%?
Yeah,
0 to 100?
0 in your confidence level, 0 to 100. Like, how confident would you be that they're telling the truth?
I would say like 5%.
So very low. Okay.
Yes.
So let's say that they took a key fob out of their pocket, and it was a Ferrari key fob. Would that affect your confidence at all?
No.
Still 5%?
Yes.
Okay. Let's say they walked you out to the parking lot, and there it was, Ferrari. Would that waver your confidence?
No.
Okay. So let's say they said, hey, let's go take a ride. They started it, and you guys drove off and went around the block.
Right.
Would that raise your confidence?
No.
Okay. What would it take for you to get to like 10%?
First I would have to ask whose car is this? Number one, I don't believe that it's theirs, or how'd you get the money for this? Once I found out that, where they got the money from, then I'd be a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, let's say, my dad's like super rich or something like that.
Then that would raise.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would get you like the 90% range?
To look at the deed. What is it called? The
registration.
Registration.
Or I'm sorry, not the registration. The title.
Title.
Okay. Is there anything that would get you to 100%? 100% meaning you cannot be mistaken.
I would say the title actually would get me to 100%.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's the second thought experiment. So now I want you to kind of think about a belief. It could be really anything. It could be religious, political, you name it, anything. Right. But the conversations tend to be more interesting if it's something that you are fairly certain is true, and it's like a foundational belief, meaning if you didn't have that belief, like tomorrow you didn't have it, it would change the way you live your life. It's going to be something that's maybe tied to your identity or something.
Right.
Is there anything you can think of that kind of fits that description that you want to unpack a little bit?
Let me see. I guess I would say religion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say, could we be a little more specific on a certain belief? So
that there's a God.
Okay. Want to do that? Okay. So on a scale from 0 to 100, where do you find yourself on that scale?
As far as belief in God?
Like the confidence that he exists.
100%.
Okay. So you're at the 100%. That's pretty high.
Yes.
So what is the main reason that you're 100% confident?
Just the everyday things in life. We're breathing, we're walking, we're doing things that wouldn't be possible if there wasn't a higher power.
Okay. So let me repeat it back to make sure I understand what you're saying. Just the fact that we are living?
Right.
Okay. So when it comes to living, how does being alive relate to the existence of a God?
Because if you think about it, there's like lots of components. There's like cells. Like, where did all that stuff come from? If it wasn't God, like, how do cells come about? How do, our organs come about? Like, there's no way without him that we would have that.
Okay. So you're saying, you didn't use this word, but I think what you're saying is the complexity of life. Okay.
Yes.
I'm not saying this is the case, but hypothetically, if it were explained to you by somebody that complexity, biological complexity, could arise without a God in the equation, would that lower your confidence?
No.
Okay. So what is it that's keeping you at that 100%?
Just because there's sometimes to everything that we know for a fact, there's not 100% reason behind it. Like sometimes somebody can explain something away, but that doesn't necessarily mean that explanation is correct, because there can be like 10,000 explanations for one thing, but it's not really what's making this force be or whatever. I don't know, can't really explain it. I don't feel like that one explanation would be enough for me to lower that down.
Okay. So, are you saying there's other things besides the explanation of complexity?
I would need more concrete evidence of that.
Of life arising?
Yes, of some other things that I mean, not so much like scientifically, because of course scientists have found ways to clone and to do this and to do that.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it was formed from the beginning. Like, how did that even come about? That wasn't done in a lab.
So, what would you accept as a concrete explanation of life arising by itself?
I don't know if I would find a concrete explanation for that.
Do you know what you would accept if you saw it?
No. I don't know what I would accept if I saw it.
Okay.
As it's more like I have to be in that situation first for me to even think about that.
Okay. So let me repeat it back to make sure I'm not putting words in your mouth. You're saying that part of the reason why you are 100% confident that there is God is because you see the complexity of the body of life. But even though, hypothetically, if it were explained to you how that could arise without a God, that wouldn't lower your confidence.
No.
Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is what other reasons is it that's keeping you at that 100%? If complexity...
Just faith.
Okay. Faith.
The belief in something that I know is there, but I cannot physically touch, is just that faith of it existing.
Let's, if we were to kind of pie chart the reason why you're so confident. Right. The complexity of life and faith, how much of that diagram would it take up? Like, is faith and complexity like 50-50?
Yes. It's like 50-50.
Okay. What definition, do you have a working definition of faith? Because I don't want to assume what you mean.
Well, faith for me is the belief in something that you don't necessarily see with your eyes, but you feel in your soul.
Can't see, but you feel it.
Yes.
Okay.
Like air. You can't see it, but you feel it.
Got it. Okay. So, let's say there was someone else here, and they were like a transfer student or something like that, and they saw the complexity of life as a reason for their belief, and they used faith as well, but it was in like a different God. So like say they believed in many gods, like a Hindu person, right? How could we figure out which one of you, like she's 100% as well,
right.
she knows. How could we figure out which one of you is more correct, I guess you would say?
Well, I don't feel like there would be a more correct answer to that, because it's like, it's more perspective than anything, and how you're raised. You know, growing up Christian, you're raised a certain way. Growing up Hindu, you're raised a different way with different beliefs. So there's no comparison, really, I don't feel like, with that.
So let's say you were raised in a different household,
right.
that you believed in a completely different God, and we were having this conversation. Is it possible that you could be just as confident, 100%, but believing in a different God because you were raised differently?
Yes.
Okay. If, how do I say this? If how you were raised is the contributing factor to how we get to our 100% confidence, what does that say about the truth of that belief, if it just depends on how you were raised?
Well, that doesn't really so much change the truth, because you still believe in a higher power either way. You believe that, you know, there's God or there's gods. There's still higher powers.
Okay.
And in any way that you go, like any different religion or, you know, ethnicity or whatever, however you're raised, it's still a belief of a higher power.
Okay. So, can someone have faith in something and be mistaken?
Yes.
Okay. If someone used faith to conclude something is true, and they can be mistaken, do you think faith is a reliable way to come to know something to be true?
Not always. Not always. But it's just how it is sometimes. You know, you can't really change people's opinions on things.
Okay.
When they're so, when they know in their heart that that's what it is, I mean, you really can't change other people's opinions.
Okay. So, when you kind of reflect on your own belief,
right.
and part of that is 50%,
right.
and you recognize that faith can sometimes give you the wrong answer,
right.
and anyone can use it, do you think 100% is the most accurate spot to be?
What do you mean?
If you are using a method that you understand to be unreliable,
do I still think that I would be at 100%?
No, I guess what I'm asking is, if you recognize that faith is unreliable to coming to truth,
right,
and you are using faith for your belief, do you think 100% confidence is justified?
Yeah. I still think that it's still justified, even though it's taking away that 50% that, you know, people don't believe in. There's still things that are unexplainable, you know, things that you can't see. So, I mean, it's like you can't always explain everything.
Right.
And that's still faith to me. So, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I would still say it's still 100%.
So, someone, let's say, came up next to us, and I was talking with them, and they were 100% confident that there were no gods.
Right.
None of them, not from any religion. They were just 100%. I said, well, why are you so confident? And they said, I just have faith. Are they justified in being 100% confident?
They're justified in their own beliefs, because everyone has a right to their own belief.
Sure, yeah, I would agree. Yeah, like, I think we agree that everyone has a right to believe, but are they justified in being 100% confident, I guess? If they just said...
I guess it goes back to if they've done research on, you know, what they're saying, you know?
No, they just said straight faith. I just have faith that there are no gods.
If it's just straight faith, then no.
Okay. So, if the way they came to know that there are no gods is somewhat similar to how you came to know there is.
Mm-hmm.
Why is yours reliable and there isn't?
I mean, it would be equally reliable.
Okay.
Mine and theirs.
So
there's no way to put like a measurement on the reliability of either one, because it would be the same then.
Okay. So would you say that that method that you guys shared, faith, faith as a way to come to know something, is that a way to be 100% sure on a belief?
Not 100%, but then there's the other 50% as well. So I mean, it's just taking into account everything else.
Okay. So something else would be holding
Right.
you up. Yet that complexity, even if you didn't have that, let's say that wasn't even part of your equation, you said that you'd still be 100%.
Yes.
And that was based off of faith.
Yes.
Okay.
And the way that I grew up, I mean, that's just how it is.
Okay.
Wouldn't be swayed by it.
All right. Thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you. Yes,
Have a good day.
sir. You too.
Hey everyone, I've gotten some feedback that some of you would like me to leave some commentary on my videos. Let me know if you'd like me to continue doing this. Overall, I think the interview went pretty well. I was able to repeat back her answers effectively. I could have done a better job of setting up the hypothetical scenario of her being convinced life arose without God. I didn't give her the opportunity to fully reflect on that scenario and how it would impact her God belief. I ended up exploring what evidence she would accept, which was a time waster, as this isn't the foundational belief. Even so, I could have recovered still by saying something like, if you did find that concrete evidence and it was to your satisfaction, would that affect your confidence that a God exists? By doing that, I could have gotten back on track and to determining if this is in fact contributing to her high confidence. When I asked her what else was keeping her at that 100% mark, she quickly responded with faith, almost interrupting me. She also explained what she meant by faith. I actually missed it and asked her to define faith shortly after. This is a reminder that I need to be concise when asking questions, get my thoughts out of the way, and actively listen. When I used the outsider test, she explained that people can't be more or less correct because it's more of a perspective. That was a good opportunity for me to go back to the tic-tac thought analogy and focus on her idea of truth. But it turned out she didn't really think truth was a perspective necessarily, just our concepts of God. I think I ended the conversation at a good point, but I do think I rushed to the finish line. I didn't give her enough time to reflect on the steps we took. That conversation would have been much more impactful had I been a little more patient. I'm hoping, since she was very quick with her answers, that she was able to digest all the questions we covered. But all in all, I think it was a really good conversation. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. However, do keep in mind, my conversation partners may view their video, so please be respectful.